happens when the richest people on the planet break the law. You'd think billionaires with all their resources and legal teams would know how to avoid jail. But money doesn't always buy immunity, or common sense. In this video, we're diving into a side of extreme wealth that doesn't often make the Forbes list: billionaires who've landed behind bars. From fraud and corruption to outright crime sprees, these aren't just financial scandals, they're full-blown criminal cases with real prison time. And while some managed to dodge long sentences, others weren't so lucky. We're not talking about speeding tickets or tax mistakes. No, these are high-profile cases involving massive Ponzi schemes, insider trading, bribery, and sometimes even violence. Some of these billionaires built their empire on deception. Others got greedy after they made it, and a few were just reckless, thinking the rules didn't apply to them. First off, Bernie Madoff. Bernie was once a trusted name on Wall Street, a former chairman of the Nasdaq, a financial advisor to the rich and powerful, and a man people thought they could trust with their life savings. But behind the polished image was the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. So, what did he do? For decades, Madoff promised consistent high returns to investors, but he wasn't actually investing their money. Instead, he was taking money from new clients to pay off earlier ones. That's the core of a Ponzi scheme. It looked like legit investment, but it's really just a cycle of lies that only works as long as more people keep handing over cash. At its peak, Madoff's scheme was worth an estimated $65 billion on paper. Celebrities, charities, retirees, people from all walks of life were caught in it. Many lost everything. The whole thing collapsed in 2008 due to the financial crisis. When too many investors tried to pull their money out at once, Madoff couldn't cover it. That's when he came clean. To his sons, they turned him over the next day. In 2009, Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies, including securities fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison. He died there in 2021. Next, we're looking at a man who was once one of the most powerful media moguls in the world. Conrad Black owned a publishing empire that included the Daily Telegraph, the Jerusalem Post, the Chicago Sun-Times, and hundreds of smaller newspapers. He was a member of the British House of Lords. He lived in mansions, threw lavish parties, and had an image of being both brilliant and ruthless. But behind that image, there was a financial scandal brewing. Black's company, Hollinger International, was supposed to be returning profits to shareholders. Instead, Black and a top few executives were secretly diverting millions of dollars into their own pockets. In 2007, after a lengthy investigation, Black was convicted in US federal court of fraud and obstruction of justice. The obstruction charge came from a bizarre move. He was caught on video removing boxes of documents from his Toronto office while under investigation. He was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison and served a little over 3 before being released in 2012. Then, in 2019, in one of the more surprising political twists, Black received a full pardon from President Donald Trump. The two men had known each other for years, and Black even wrote a flattering biography of Trump before the pardon was granted. But, pardon or not, Black's fall from grace was steep. He went from international power player to convicted felon, and his case remains one of the most high-profile white-collar crimes in media history. While Black's empire was built on newspapers, our next billionaire built his on bonds, specifically junk bonds. Michael Milken became a Wall Street legend in the 1980s, but behind the financial innovation was a web of illegal activity that would eventually land him in prison. Let's talk about the junk bond king. Michael Milken was a financial genius. There's no doubt about that. He revolutionized the world of corporate finance in the 1980s by creating and popularizing high-yield junk bonds, risky investments with big potential returns. His strategies helped fund the rise of companies that couldn't get traditional bank loans. He was hailed as a pioneer. But Milken's brilliance, it didn't keep him on the right side of the law. Through his firm, Drexel Burnham Lambert, Milken created a bond market boom. But he also engaged in insider trading, stock manipulation, and securities fraud. He used inside information to drive deals, rigged bond prices, and worked behind the scenes to control markets. It wasn't just aggressive investing, it was illegal. In 1989, the bubble burst. Milken was indicted on 98 counts of racketeering and fraud. Rather than fight all of them in court, he struck a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to 6 felony charges and agreed to pay a staggering $600 million in fines and settlements. At the time, it was one of the largest penalties ever imposed in a white-collar case. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but served only 2 for good behavior and cooperation. After his release, Milken pivoted to philanthropy, focusing on medical research and education. He tried to clean up his public image, and in 2020, he received a presidential pardon from Trump, more than 3 decades after his conviction. Fast forward a couple of decades, and Wall Street had a new scandal, one that echoed the insider trading days of Milken, but with a modern twist. Raj Rajaratnam, a hedge fund billionaire, took insider trading to a whole new level, building an empire on secrets. Raj Rajaratnam wasn't just a hedge fund manager, he was a titan in the tech investing world. As the founder of the Galleon Group, he managed billions of dollars and had access to some of the biggest names in Silicon Valley and Wall Street. But what made Galleon's performance stand out wasn't just smart investing, it was insider information. Rajaratnam built a vast network of corporate insiders who fed him confidential information about earnings, mergers, and other major moves before they became public. He used that intel to make trades that seemed almost too good to be true, and for a while, no one noticed. But in 2009, after a long FBI investigation and wiretaps, Rajaratnam was arrested and charged with insider trading. The case was groundbreaking. It was one of the first times wiretaps were used in a white-collar crime case. The record showed Rajaratnam receiving illegal tips from insiders at companies like Intel, IBM, and Goldman Sachs. In 2011, he was convicted on 14 counts of securities fraud and conspiracy. The judge didn't hold back. He was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison, the longest sentence ever handed down for insider trading at that time. He was also fined $10 million and ordered to forfeit $53.8 million. Rajaratnam served about 8 years before being released in 2021 for health reasons. Since then, he's attempted to defend himself in the public eye, even publishing a book claiming he was unfairly targeted. But the evidence against him was overwhelming, and his conviction marked a turning point in how the government prosecutes financial crime. 5th billionaire on the list, and we're moving away from Wall Street and into cryptocurrency. Sam Bankman-Fried, once celebrated as the wonder kid of the cryptocurrency world, founded FTX, a platform that rapidly became a symbol of innovation in digital finance. His reputation soared as he touted transparency, advanced trading tools, and revolutionary ideas. However, behind the polished image and billion-dollar valuations, cracks began to appear in the foundation of his empire. Investigations eventually revealed that FTX was not the solid financial institution it appeared to be. Bankman-Fried and his team were accused of making customer deposits and engaging in risky unauthorized trading practices that masked the true financial health of the company. Allegations surfaced that funds from customer accounts were diverted to cover losses at Alameda Research, a trading firm closely linked to FTX. This intermingling of funds, combined with opaque accounting practices, led to accusations of fraud and a massive breach of trust. As the financial discrepancies became impossible to ignore, regulators and law enforcement agencies swung into action. Bankman-Fried was charged with several counts, including securities fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. Ultimately, the legal process caught up with him. Despite his previous reputation as a forward-thinking innovator, Sam Bankman-Fried's mismanagement and deceptive practices led to his conviction and subsequent imprisonment. From the turbulent realm of cryptocurrency, we now shift our focus to the biotech industry, a sector where groundbreaking promises can sometimes mask dangerous deceptions. Enter Elizabeth Holmes, a figure once hailed as a visionary for her revolutionary blood testing technology. But, as we'll see, her story is one of ambition turned to hubris, leading to fraud and incarceration. Let's explore how her rise and fall unfolded. Elizabeth Holmes founded Theranos with the bold claim that she'd transform the medical testing industry. Promising to perform hundreds of tests using just a few drops of blood, she attracted high-profile investors and forged partnerships with major companies. However, behind the veil of innovation, Theranos was built on a house of cards. Investigations revealed that the technology never worked as promised. Instead of using a breakthrough device, the company relied on traditional machines to run tests, often with questionable accuracy. Holmes misled investors, board members, and even patients, creating an illusion of progress while hiding the technological shortcomings. The turning point came when whistleblowers and investigative journalists began exposing the discrepancies between Theranos' claims and its actual performance. Regulatory agencies scrutinized the company, and lawsuits piled up. Ultimately, Holmes was charged with massive fraud. In a dramatic courtroom saga, evidence showed that she deliberately deceived investors and regulators for years, endangering public health in the process. Convicted on multiple counts of fraud, Elizabeth Holmes was sentenced to prison. Her case stands as a cautionary tale of what happens when ambition outpaces ethical responsibility, and it serves as a stark reminder that revolutionary ideas must be backed by genuine innovation, not just charismatic storytelling. After the fall of a biotech superstar, we now turn our gaze to the flamboyant world of high-stakes business in India. Vijay Mallya, once dubbed the King of Good Times for his extravagant lifestyle and luxury brands, saw his empire crumble under the weight of financial mismanagement and corruption. Let's delve into how his lavish life led to a dramatic confrontation with the law. Vijay Mallya was a symbol of excess and opulence in India. Known for his luxury yachts, high-profile parties, and ownership of the now-defunct Kingfisher Airlines, he lived a life many only dream of. But behind the glittering facade, there were some serious financial troubles. Mallya's businesses began defaulting on massive bank loans, and allegations of financial irregularities soon emerged. Investigations revealed that Mallya had misused company funds and engaged in questionable financial practices that led to the collapse of his enterprises. His inability to repay loans left a trail of unpaid debts amounting to billions of rupees, impacting countless banks and investors. The scandal not only tarnished his reputation, but also brought international attention to the issue of corporate governance in India. Facing mounting pressure, authorities pursued legal action against him. Mallya was charged with money laundering, financial fraud, and defaulting on loans. The legal battles were long and complex, spanning multiple jurisdictions. Eventually, his actions led to a conviction that saw him sentenced to prison. While Mallya's lifestyle once epitomized luxury and success, his downfall is a vivid reminder that financial irresponsibilities and corruption have consequences that can bring even the most celebrated figures to their knees. Today, we've journeyed through the stories of 7 high-profile figures: Bernie Madoff, Conrad Black, Michael Milken, Raj Rajaratnam, Sam Bankman-Fried, Elizabeth Holmes, Vijay Mallya, each a testament to the dangers of unchecked ambition and the abuse of power. If you found these accounts as compelling as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth stories, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Who should we profile in our next explanation of high-profile scandals and the fall of the mighty? Until next time, stay informed and always demand accountability.